Let's talk about a very fun topic, the participation trophy. I think there's pros and cons to the participation trophy where every kid gets one, no matter how they did, how they performed. I think this is a lot more common in the younger athletes, so maybe not teenagers, but maybe it is still present there. But let's just bounce back and forth, Elliott. Pros and cons of the participation trophy. Let's start with the cons. Let's do that. So what immediately goes into your mind when you think of, yeah, this participation trophy is bad because.
Yeah, interesting conversation. And Gabe, it's one of those, let's frame up this conversation of you're right, there are different arguments and you're going to hear different pros and cons. Maybe there isn't one perfect magic answer here.
Mhm.
I'll share my opinion, but again, we prefaced it at the start of the conversation. Every family is different, every teen is different. Let's take our points, our arguments with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But my initial reaction to answer your question is we are rewarding participation. What behavior are we celebrating here? What in terms of behavior change and behavior modification, what does the reward speak to in terms of what we're promoting? So, okay, you get a trophy. That's your reward for playing sport? Is the trophy what we want to encourage?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to that beautiful emotion of teamwork and friendship and personal growth, I'd say that's a better reward.
The three things you mentioned there, like the personal growth, the teamwork, the friendships, those are all intangible. Yet the trophy is tangible. It's something physical, and I think that's what makes it more of a big deal because you can look at it constantly. There's usually some little ceremony around it, and that makes it more of a big deal than the friendship, the teamwork, the learning to lose. And the word that comes into my mind as you talk about this is entitlement. Is it teaching kids to be entitled of? Because what happens when they participate in another league that's a few years down the road and they don't get anything because they came in third place? Are they gonna have a much tougher time dealing with failure because they don't have any type of reward?
Yeah, good point. What are we setting up our kiddos to do? Are they going to throw a tantrum when they don't get that reward, that trophy, that hardware?
Mhm.
What message are we sending? What life lessons are we encouraging?
I think it also can facilitate a sense of complacency where kids won't strive to compete their hardest and win at all costs because, well, I still get my trophy and that's what I'm playing for because that's what we're signaling is important. And so when you facilitate this sense of complacency, it's might be sending mixed messages to these kids of saying, hey, I keep telling you that we appreciate your effort and the progress you're making towards your goals. However, we're also sending a message that these trophies are important. And now they're thinking, okay, well, I have a reason to not fulfill my potential because I'm receiving this type of reward. Anything to add on how this participation trophy facilitates complacency?
Yeah, Gabe, I want to share a story about trophies with a youth team I was coaching years ago. And when I say youth team, I mean second and third graders. So this was a wonderful soccer team in the Portland area. And I had the opportunity to coach these young people, teaching them life lessons, teaching them soccer skills, and also nutrition, healthy eating. And here's what I did, which led to a beautiful moment at the end of the season. And youth parents listening and wearing that coach's hat, please feel free to steal this idea. At the end of the season celebration party, rather than participation trophies, I shared different healthy foods. So, what I mean by that is, I had a brown paper bag at the front of the classroom, and each student athlete would walk up and receive their reward, the reward of an orange, an apple, wheat bread, banana, pineapple. And here's what happened, Gabe. They were so excited to earn this silly reward and they were so curious what was going to come out of that brown bag. Everybody had smiles on their faces. Everybody was tuned in because they were so curious and so interested in what was going to come out of their bag. And they went back to their seats and they shared it with their friends and they talked about healthy foods. It reinforced the message. It wasn't a hardware participation trophy, and it just brought so much joy and so many smiles to that youth team. And it's so silly, right? But that's what kids love: creativity, thinking outside the box. It's a great way to end the season.
And it sounds like, was it the food that you were rewarding them with was like unique to them and specific to them, and it had some meaning behind it rather than just like, hey, little Timmy, here's an orange for you. It's like, no, there's some type of meaning behind it.
Exactly. And that's a great opportunity to celebrate unique strengths. Exactly to your point, there's meaning behind it. And maybe add, as a coach, maybe add a story about why that fruit represents that athlete, or what hustle plays that athlete showed over the season and why they earned that fruit reward. It just was a lovely moment as a team. The parents were happy, the kiddos were happy. They lit up earning that fruit reward.
I think this is a cool example of something that I didn't think about when we talk about participation trophies. I kind of think of it as, are we giving the trophies to everybody or just the winners? But you're kind of creating this middle ground, this compromise of, hey, we're not going to give the losers trophies, but we're going to still recognize them in some way. And I think that's very valuable. So I love the story. That's great. I just imagine all these kids lighting up, seeing like a fruit come out of a bag and be like, yes, I got the apple.
You could hear a pin drop in that room. Their eyes were just locked into that brown paper bag. What's going to pop out of it
Yeah.
next?
Yeah, there's no surprise with trophies. It's all the same one, but this one, there's the unique factor, the surprise. Let's talk about the pros of participation trophies. One that comes to mind is it's going to facilitate a boost in self-esteem for the athlete, for the kids who don't have experience losing, and they might not want to play again because they lost, and they're looking at their peers receive trophies, wishing they had the same thing, and now they go to mom and dad and go, I don't want to play again. And having a participation trophy for these kids can keep them in the sport, to keep them learning these lessons that are important, and then eventually they can actually fulfill their potential, get the reward, maybe in that process experience the fruits of their labor. So anything to add, or any others you want to talk about the pros of participation trophies and self-esteem?
Yeah, I'm nodding along to your example. I love that. Well said. Um, Feeling proud of your efforts and seeing a trophy that represents your commitment and your sacrifice and your growth, that's a beautiful thing. That's perfectly understandable for young people. That's an emotion we want to celebrate. Yeah, I want young people to feel proud. Hell yeah.
What about promoting inclusivity? Maybe it's along the same lines of this, but again, for the kids who don't feel like they're included or feel like they're connected to everyone, can a participation trophy help them feel like they're a part of the sport, like they're contributing?
I think you can make an argument for that, yes. And here's why. The season ending party, right? All your little kiddos have trophies in their hand, and they're showing each other. They're huddled up right at the end of the field, and they're showing off their trophies, looking in little groups, looking at one another. That's inclusivity, right? That's belonging. That's community. That is your little tribe. And to have something that your friends have, to have that trophy, that hardware that all your friends have, and to be a part of a team, and to have a trophy that represents a united group, that's a beautiful thing too. And there's an argument there that participation trophies encourage belonging and community, and inclusivity.
And like we're going to talk about soon, that connection piece, when you're connected with your teammates, your friends, is big in fostering motivation. So great point there of how it can facilitate that sense of I'm connected to this sport, this community.